You ever waited for something for so long that when it arrived, it couldn't possibly live up to the expectations you made for it? Well, Merry Christmas, motherfucker, and don't forget to subscribe. I'm almost at my goal of 69 subscribers. As you may know by now, I am Locke and this is Maya, the channel that feels compelled to tell the truth about games, no matter how hard I was for the game in question. And this is Cyberpunk 2077, equal parts marvelous and terrifying. This game is the most anticipated from the last decade, and the idea that it will be the ultimate game got thrusted so deep in the collective but unconscious that its demise can be more easily compared to Icarus's fall than with any other similar game story I can think of. Night City is an amazing place, filled with interesting NPCs, with touching personal stories. It is a believable place with comprehensive architecture, but it also manages to be a very dead city, with thousands of cardboard characters with one-talk options that never reflect the situation they are currently in and sometimes doesn't even move their mouths while talking. Drivers that only keep going on rails no matter what you do to them and never leave their fucking cars for shit, and so many pop-ins and and different shit happening at all the time, so many bugs. So you may see why this game feels a little all over the place in terms of immersion and overall experience. When it works very fucking well, but when it doesn't, well, it just doesn't. IGN already made a secondary review just for the PS4 and Xbox One versions of the game, but I feel the need to say, if you have a shitty old console around, throw it away, because it's officially a paperweight now, and don't even think of trying to run Cyberpunk on that, or even a PS5, because it doesn't work there either. You will end up crying in the shower thinking about it, just like your dad does on a daily basis because of you. But let's talk about the game, where it matters and works. Steam. Playing Cyberpunk 2077 is much like playing most other action RPGs around, except that it does most things other games do much better, and some specific stuff much worse. Story-wise, this is a phenomenal game. You are V, and you are racing against time to find a cure for your story-specific problem that I can't reveal for spoiler reasons. What I can reveal is that if you like Keanu Reeves, he is heavily figured in the game. He appears just as much as your character V. Unlike some people thought, Johnny Silverhand's presence is major throughout the game's story. And Cyberpunk's many storylines manage to flesh out each of its characters in a deep and very meaningful way, and the many choices it presents, and doesn't, to you affect each and every one of those stories directly, changing paths, conversations, and climaxes, but in the end, it feels more like a Telltale game choice system than real choices. Instead of considering everything that has happened along your adventure throughout the game, Cyberpunk's final moments are decided only on its last mission, and its endings don't differ much between them. I consider this a hard step back for CD Projekt Red, because Witcher 3 had some really intense choices along the ride that changed the ending scene considerably. Cyberpunk doesn't. But the adventure is more important than the destination here, and seeing the side content makes you really think, why the fuck is this side content anyways? Just the sheer thought that someone won't point a gun towards the Japanese Powerpuff Girls or cut mafia mobs' heads off with a katana horrifies me. especially since the main branch of the story takes only about 25 hours of gameplay, and the other 30 hours of content comes from those sides that some people so easily ignore. And I will dare say that the best moments in Cyberpunk's adventure are spent on side quests, with its extensive cast of well-done and well-written characters. Each of their lives feel real, and saying your final goodbyes to them sometimes also feels too much like that. And that contrasts heavily with the cardboard pieces walking around Night City. You can literally tell the difference between a cardboard NPC that won't give you anything dialogue-wise and is just following his mindless, predetermined path, and the real NPCs with personalities and quests. This goes against their promise of a realistic city, where people would have activities and lives and blah blah blah. Well, if you want that, go play Watch Dogs Legion, and if you think those were impossible promises, go play Watch Dogs Legion. But you often forget about that and treat those invisible legions of low-poly models as the ghosts they really are, while perusing Night City's many streets and alleyways in search for trouble. But overall, playing as V is a beautiful experience. Cyberpunk's gunplay is on point with the best first-person shooters around. Every gun feels great, with some futuristic details like ricocheting bullets, wall-penetrating snipers, bullets that follow the targets, and some extra fun times. Melee combat is also very entertaining. The dismemberment system brings satisfaction to any kid out there, and every different weapon and augment feels different on their own way. You can also hack people and things during combat and out of it. That adds another layer of strategy to every fight. But shooting and slicing makes not an RPG. Every system on Cyberpunk 2077 is backed by its intricate and complex character building system. You have 5 attributes to upgrade over the 50 levels the game gives you, and inside each of those attributes there is a set of skills with perks inside. Each level gives you an attribute and a perk point to distribute, and some actions and missions also level up the individual skill trees and give you extra perk points. Besides that, there's also the street cred level, a secondary level that opens up new options of items to buy and cars. And even after you reach 50/50, it is impossible to upgrade your character with everything at max by the end of the game. So, to see each and every one of these capabilities, you will have to replay the game in order to make different specs. Every perk gives you a new ability to use that can be either passive or active. Some are more obvious, like recharging your RAM during combat after hacking enemies. Others can be a little less obvious, like 20% more damage on strong attacks that you can't even notice because you're already one-hitting everything with your black katana sword. The inventory system is hella confusing though, especially when using a mouse, which you should always use to play FPS games. If you don't, get the fuck out of here. But after a while, you learn to navigate it decently, and also to ignore most of it, as the only thing you have to constantly worry for are your weapons and some very rare occasions where you need to use a key item from there. Which will be a pain in the ass, as there is no key item section and you will have to look over the general all items part to find it. And you can't even favorite your items so you won't destroy them by mistake, like I did with Panam's fucking sniper rifle. Well, you can fuck up big time when not paying attention, so do pay attention at all times. Or not, I'm not your mother. The looting system is like the world's worst looter shooter, because unlike other looter shooters, you won't have to instantly equip every fucking crap that you find. The combat is not that hard, so it doesn't really require you to be the most optimized guy at all times in DPS. So the game does give you freedom to use the guns that you like, instead of forcing you to change to the next big number one, like Borderlands or Marvel's Avenger. You can only customize your character at the start of your adventure, and it's a pretty decent system overall, except that instead of bars or letting you actually push and pull stuff on V's face, you can only choose between many preset options for each individual body part. This ranges from nose, eyebrows, eyes, to some more unusual stuff like nipples, that is an on and off switch for some reason, nail length and color, and genitals, where the game gives you the option of having a penis or vagina, or the brand new penis chew, now without... No, I won't continue this joke. Weirdly enough, it only lets you customize the two penises, and only in length and not girth. The vagina option doesn't have any customization to it, which is kinda weird. It's almost like CD Projekt Red thinks that every vagina looks the same, or never saw one. Aside from this situation though, it is a very interesting customization system that gets you really excited for all the things that you will customize later on in the game. Well, tough luck, you won't. There are no barbershops, no tattoo parlors, and the clothes shops are pretty limited, although you end up visiting lots of them in order to have the slight sensation of customizing your character of the game. Thank God it's not a very lengthy adventure, and that you hardly ever see your character, as all mirrors are not naturally reflective in the future, only reflecting you when you press the see yourself in the mirror option, like they're turned off or something. Metal and water barely reflect you as well, as this game takes the miracle of ray tracing very fucking seriously by not working at all when not using it. I saw some people complaining that the clothes all look kinda weird in general because they are aiming for a higher armor value. And the advice from someone who played Cyberpunk 2077 for over 60 hours is: don't fucking bother, armor is meaningless, a shot to the head will often kill you, so fuck that, wear something stylish because you are doing stylish shit. Night City is a giant city, full of districts and different places, intense nightclubs, dangerous alleys, dark docks, and dirty-ass suburbs. In order to traverse it correctly, you will need some good nice set of wheels. And nice wheels you are offered. A lot. The game has so many fucking cars and motorbikes to buy that unless you cheat or bug your credit count, you will probably not get them all. And here is where not having a favorite item list really pays off. When you have too many vehicles, it's very hard to find the one you really want, and you will always want the Akira bike, so it should be the only one showing. Maybe having it equipped on the inventory and calling just the bike or car you wanted directly by the button would be a faster thing, but I don't know, it just doesn't work as fine as it should. It's not that fast to scroll through a giant list of stuff when you are running away from people shooting at you and want your fucking car. Well, and since calling your car is always a tiring endeavor, that is why I used fast travel so damn much. And like The Witcher, the fast travels aren't automatic. You gotta first find a fast travel terminal and use it to go to another terminal, possibly closer to your end objective, so you end up having to traverse a lot on foot or by car. And let me tell you about driving in Night City. It sounds badass, but it's much like driving a bathtub in a mountain of soap. The car and bike drift a lot, more than they should, and it's quite a feat to get from point A to B without killing any innocent people or hitting 24 cars. Moving around on foot gives you some really basic parkour options like going up ledges and grabbing on them after falls. No wall running or anything, but there are some augments that enable you to double or charge jump later on in the game. The police spawns randomly on your back when you commit crimes, like some fucking cyber ninjas or something. But you are never followed far enough, and they forget you completely after 2 minutes of you running away. So there is no actual consequence to killing civilians except for a minor nuisance. And the visual bugs are many. People talking without moving their mouths, cardboard NPCs not reacting to their environments like I already said, like people in a nightclub talking about the weather and telling you to back off from their streets, floating jackets, missing texture, and other random mishaps in general plague the game. But the bugs don't stop on visuals. Sometimes the game auto-kills you at random when it can't detect the collision you made with a ledge correctly. Other times you go up to the skies when entering your car, or even die randomly from touching buggy shit. Sometimes it locks out controls like running because it fails to leave cutscenes correctly too, and leave those big black marks of cutscenes speaking on the screen. And random cars may also come flying your direction at random, but those are not bugs, they are features. Features that you can see a lot on r/game physics right now. It's filled with cyberpunk shit, go check it out. And every mission has lots of ways of finishing them. You can be a ghost, stealthing around, you can be a fighter and kill everybody directly or from a distance like I did. You can mix between those two, you can hack people and stuff to make them confused and infiltrate faster. Or you can avoid all obstacles by double jumping back into action like a god and cutting people with your praying mantis's arms. I could fucking talk about gameplay options, details and stuff all day long, and I would still have stuff to cover. This game is more than competent in being an RPG. It is very complex and enables way more customizing than your usual RPG out there. Instead of adding points to damage like a tool and shooting your way out of every trouble, it gives you tools to make interesting decisions in your playthrough. This level of customization and freedom is unparalleled in an RPG game, and it's the main show here. Even though the game's story is the best one out there in the last few years, the gameplay and systems are also so damn good that they surpass the story and are a great show just by themselves. I would say that choice is the key word here. You can choose to kill or not to kill. You can choose to save or let die. Choose to be strong or smart. Be cool or hot-headed. V is the interpretation of how you play Cyberpunk 2077. And although it's short in length, V will stay with you for a long time, reminding you of each and every action and option you made. The game excels in interactive storytelling by immersing you into every single action you make, and it frees you to go out of script as much as you want and for as long as you need. Every mission can end in many different ways, and your choices matter inside their small worlds and quest lines. Even though they don't really affect the overall ending of the story, the side content matter more than the overall adventure here. Sound-wise, what can I say? This game, everything is perfect when it works, and it most often does in sound. Every gunshot, sword strike, punch, laugh and scream is perfect. This game has no problems getting your blood pumping in action or getting you fucking sad in other parts. Cyberpunk 2077's music is amazing. Every single score is perfect, and I have no other words for it. The sound design here, something that people so often ignore or just put in second playing, is perfect. I repeat it, perfect. From impeccable voice actors, even for the cardboard people, to the beautiful sounds of Night City, you will never find anything odd sound-wise. And when all else fails, it is definitely the sound work that keeps you immersed. Every conflict in the game is heightened by it, and every silent moment is welcomed, as silence is harder to come by in Night City than a piece of shining gold. Every street corner has gang fighting, manslaughter, armed robbery, and the sounds of the city includes the roar of expensive cars, gunshots, and the many boomboxes screaming all different kinds of music from the multicultural population of Night City. A true depiction of any metropolitan area of respect. Talking about radio musics, every radio is good on its own, but I think the rock radio is the best because it features the samurai songs that were recorded by Refused earlier this year, and they all fucking rock. And although it has its fair share of issues, I can't stop thinking how much the small studio behind The Witcher achieved here. I just wish they paid more attention to details. Things like the citizens being more alive and confrontational, police chases being more dynamic, even car drivers coming out of their cars to shoot you after a crash. Those small details that you'll find in every single Rockstar game since 2006 are things we expect from games like this, and it sucks that they are not here and are so damn noticeable because besides that, the game is fucking amazing. Very good. You will not find a better RPG out there. This kicks the ass of every fucking Bethesda Fallout game and ties with New Vegas pretty well. I feel CD Projekt Red can repair all of its visual and gameplay bugs over the next 2 months with ease, since now they have thousands of quality assurance testers working day and night and send the reports to them, and they should have released the game last month in order to make this process faster, but they didn't, and it achieved nothing. So many delays for something that every person with a brain knew was coming. The game is a buggy mess, but playable on PC and newer consoles, and that's okay. Witcher 3 was exactly like that, but you all remember it with rose-tinted glasses by now. But I can't ignore how Cyberpunk got delayed 69 times in the past few months, in order to achieve nothing. God knows what would have come out in the original April release date, but I'm here to rate what we have, not what we could have. Cyberpunk 2077 is an amazing RPG experience, with perfect sound design, exquisite gunplay, and extensive customization options for both your character sheet and visuals. It is the game we were all waiting for, and a true thing of beauty. I rate Cyberpunk 2077 a 9 out of 10. It is the best story you will play in 2020 and probably in 2021 as well. Cyberpunk's plot will stay with you for a long time, and the wait for a DLC had never been so long for a game. But its extreme issues at launch made it turn sour for a lot of people. And even though I personally think that this was the best experience I had with a game this year, I cannot give it a perfect score when other games achieved so much with much less. 2020 was a hard year for everyone, especially Polish developers struggling against time and hype. But consider playing Cyberpunk 2077 even if you have to wait for the patches that will come over the next 2 months. This game may not be perfect, but it is an experience that will never fade away. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and share it with your cousin that bought a PS5 and can't play this game decently while you, with a 4-year-old PC, are running it just fine. I'll see you next time.